Yo dudes, what's up? This is PlanetKeef, I'm Keef, and today I'm going to do something completely different. Well, not something I've done on PlanetKeef before. I'm going to paint a picture. Yes! Now, as you may know, I have a sort of artistic background. I went to art college, I did a foundation course in art and design, then I did a degree in interior design, and then I worked for 10-15 years as an interior designer. So up until the point that I started working, I used to love to draw and paint. I was doing it all the time. Well, not all the time. Sometimes I was playing in a band, and sometimes I was eating, and sometimes I was sleeping, and sometimes I was doing other stuff. But you know what I mean. And then as soon as I started working, I stopped doing it. I was making technical drawings and designs and artist's impressions all day long, but I was getting paid for it. So when I got home and at weekends, if I wasn't getting paid for it, I didn't do it. And I regret that, I really do, because you know, I do have a bit of talent, or I used to. I might have lost it, I don't know. So recently I was having a tidy up, and I found my old portfolio with some of my art college work in it, and I had a look through, and yeah, it really kind of inspired me to get back on the case and start drawing and painting again. So here I am. I no longer have all the gear that I used to have, so I bought a new set of kit. It's pretty basic, but to get started. And also I made myself a little drawing board with a slightly dodgy adjustable stand. Where is it? It's a prototype, but you know, it stands at different angles, so that's what we want. A couple of weekends ago we were in the Peak District in Derbyshire, which is a very beautiful part of the world, and one afternoon we went to a place called New Mills, which I didn't know anything about, except I used to go through it on the train when I lived in Liverpool, and I would get the train across the Pennines to visit my family in South Yorkshire, and it stopped at New Mills, and here's the railway line that it goes on, and amazingly I never ever looked over the cliff edge to see this 4-storey mill in the bottom of the gorge. I mean, what a thing that is, and what a thing it is that they managed to build this railway line in Victorian times. It's quite impressive. I don't think you could really get exactly this view with a camera because there's trees in the way and things, and also the angles have kind of cheated, as you can do when you're painting. So this is my first attempt. I like vivid colours. I mean, obviously you don't really get a landscape that looks like that, but I do in my head. And I like to put outlines around things, which, you know, probably works for buildings, but wouldn't work for trees and things, so I'll have to watch that. This was like 4 hours on Saturday afternoon, a couple of hours one evening, a couple more 2-hour sessions. I should have this done. So I blocked in all the green bits that weren't done before, including those, and some sort of medium level detailing of leaves on these trees. And I quite like that. So this side of it is like a framing device, although there are actually real trees there. But I don't do realistic trees. I've also done some kind of texturing on these walls because they're stone, and I could just paint the mortar lines, but that would be boring, so I've done squiggles and spirals instead, just to give it a bit of textural interest. So I'm actually using these acrylic paints as if they were watercolour, and just building up layers of, you know, slightly transparent or translucent paint, and increasing the density of colour and form as we go along. Right, I promised to keep you updated, and then, you know, completely didn't. So I've almost, well, got it all roughed in. And so, you know, some bits of it I would consider to be finished. Right now I'm doing the railway lines, which I've been dreading a bit because, you know, 4 parallel lines, and on an S curve, but they do have to be parallel. They do have to look parallel, even though, you know, they're not. Because if they're not, it will stick out like a sore thumb. So, yeah, wish me luck with that. Now I'm roughing in the sleepers and the gravel, and then painting the actual lines. At which point I'm thinking I should hire a sign writer to do this, because they have the technology and they have the skill to do perfectly straight lines and perfectly smooth curves, and I admire them greatly, even though, you know, it's a dying art, I think. Right, this is very nearly finished, but well, I've finally given in to one thing that's been bugging me, which is this end wall where the perspective on those windows is it's just crazy. It's not right. If you're going to do abstract kind of perspective, you've got to do it, you know, convincingly, or otherwise you've got to do it really accurately. And so the horizontal lines on these windows are divergent, really where, you know, they should be converging over towards the right-hand edge of the painting. Yeah, bite the bullet, paint it solid orange, and then draw in the windows correctly. Right, I'm almost at that point where you say, put on your brushes and step away from your canvases, because it's almost finished. But there's a few things I want to, but there's just a few things I want to change. I want to get a bright, white, solidish line on the horizon, on the sky. I want to solidify the look of the background to the railway lines, because it looks a bit wishy-washy. This bit of wall I need to lighten up to make it stand out as wall rather than a bit of rubble, and same thing with this bit of wall to you know, darken it at the bottom to make a contrast. To make a contrast with the rocks that have fallen into the water. Other than that, yeah, I've fixed the orange wall more or less. There's still a few. I still need to go over it a few more times. Other than that, for a first painting for many years, I'm quite pleased. So a few tweaks I want to do. I want to put a brighter white bottom to the sky just on the horizon. I want to go over the gravel and the sleepers behind the railway tracks to make them look less wishy-washy. This bit of wall, it looks like some rubble, so I want to go over that and make that look more like wall, and the other walls on the corner of the mill courtyard. And I've redone this wall, but it needs a couple more coats to make the original windows completely disappear. Right, this is it. I think you can go on forever tweaking and messing about, but I'm going to say that's finished and cut it off the board, and then we'll see what happens to it, because I'm thinking if I do a lot of paintings, then I'm going to want to sell them, and so I've been looking at things on the internet. There's lots of sites where you can sell your art, but I don't know anything about this at all. So if anybody's got any clues or insights, let me know. Alright, put it off the board, stretch another bit of paper for the next one.